Is this my screen or?
Looks good. Yep.
Okay, so let me do this. Okay, so welcome everyone. Today, Shruti and I will go through kind of step-by-step demo on how to reimagine an ODA HA system and how to do monthly updating, and then also how to deploy an Oracle AI Database 26AI DB system or VM. And so let me get into it. So here's a quick agenda. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about ODA and Oracle AI Database 20 AI support. And then on a very high level, I'm going to quickly go through the reimaging and ODA HA system step by step, as well as monthly OS update for ODA, and then how to deploy an 26 AI DB system on ODA. Then Shruti will get into actually the recorded step-by-step through the command, following the instructions in our documentation to go through all these three things. And then we'll end up with a Q&A at the end. So let me just quickly go through the 26 AI support. So Oracle AI Database 26 AI now is available, and it's automated and supported on ODA. So this is our next generation AI native database. Compared to 19C, it has hundreds of new features, but most importantly, it includes the uh, many new AI features, such as use of LLMs and AI vector search, and then also the basically embedding a lot of AI capabilities in the database. And also very important is this is our next long-term support from Oracle. So pretty much every 19C customers today will have to migrate to the 26 AI sooner or later, okay? From database appliance perspective, ODA is the lowest cost engineered system to run Oracle AI Database 26 AI on-prem. And this is through the capacity on-demand database licensing, as well as all that ease of use, operational expenses saving. So this is the core value proposition of this platform. And then ODA is the exclusive platform that supports the 26 AI standard edition on the multi-chip module. So as of today, the database appliance is the only platform that supports standard edition 2 on the MCM systems. And we have a couple new collaterals I just want to make sure you're aware of. We have how to set up and run a AI chatbot on the ODA in 10 minutes. So this is on our YouTube ODA playlist, as well as a blog, the new database 26 AI True Cache with ODA. We have a blog published on that. And at the same time, I also just want to give you an update on kind of the recent activities, right? New ODA-based solutions. We have published the blog. We did the test jointly with our OKV team or Oracle Key Vault team to have a best practice running the OKV, the Key Vault, with the database appliance. So that's published, and the link is here. As well as we've done some joint testing with some of the solution teams, right? The first one I want to mention is the Oracle Health Cerner application. So that's been tested, and then we have completed the POC with the customer. And then we also done joint testing with the utility network management system team, and that's completed with multiple customers. So there are customers that are running combination of the database appliance with the database as well as some of these applications. And then, of course, earlier we've done some tests with the times 10 in-memory solutions. Again, this one we also published technical paper and blog. So those are the links here. And very recently, we also did some work to certify OpenShift, which is Kubernetes framework that runs applications on ODA. And so we have a number of customers that are doing that, running all the applications with OpenShift, and then also um, databases on ODA. So these are all the kind of the recent ODA-based solutions. So let's get into today's demo. So there are three parts to it. The first part is about how to, how to reimage and redeploy an ODA HA system, with the latest software. So we're going to capture all these steps. And the second part is how to do a monthly OS update. This is a new thing, a new release that actually just happened with our 1929.0.1. But this is a new monthly update. Previously, customers will have to do a quarterly update. So this is a more frequent OS update to address security, CVEs. So we'll show you how to do that. And then the third part is really how to deploy a 26AI DB system or database in KVM. So Shruti will go through the step-by-step command following the documentation. So this is very useful because many of our customers will have to do that, and this will sort of provide a step-by-step demo they can follow. Okay. So on reimage and redeploying an ODA HA system. So these are the kind of high-level steps. Again, Shruti will go through this in detail commands, and you'll see that. So the step one is really to just download and have all the files required for the process available so that you can use it to do the reimaging and also redeployment. And once you have all that kind of in place, the first thing you do is you run what we call the cleanup script on both nodes in sequence. What this does is really, because it's a reimaging, so you want to clean up all the old information from both nodes. And now keep in mind since we're doing a complete reimaging, we want to erase all the disk header data from the data disk headers. Okay, so this is different from the boot drive, right? So we do that first. We clean up all the disk headers on both basically on the HA systems on the shared storage. Then the next step is to reimaging the boot drive, right? Now, because we clean up the system, then we will lose the network information. So we will have to do it from what we call the ILAM, right? Another controller has a different IP address on both servers. So we will have to reimaging the boot drive on both nodes, but we'll have to do it from this other processor that has an independent IP address, what we call ILAM. And then there's a console there that can actually reimaging the boot drives. Okay, so that's the next step. After we've done that, of course, we have to then reconfigure the network. And that's what we call the configure first net. Again, from the ILAM console, we're going to do that and then put the ODA back onto the network. So once the system is back on the network, then we can stage all the files that you previously downloaded, whether it's clone files or the ISO image. In this case, we want to do the redeployment. Then we have to, of course, copy then you can actually SSH into the host systems on the two server nodes and then do the update repository. What that does is copy what we call the grid infrastructure and the database clone files back onto the system. Then in this case, there are two methods, right? You can copy the files into some temp files inside the ODA and then do the deployment. Or in our case, in our demo, what we do is we put all our files on an NFS server, and then we NFS mount that, and then we just do the copying from the NFS server. And then we do the deployment. Okay, we'll show you the whole step-by-step process of doing this in our first part of the step-by-step demo. Then we'll show you how to do the monthly update. Like I say, this is a new thing for this platform. So what it is it's an optional thing. You don't have to do it, but if you want to do a more frequent the operating system update on the ODA, then you can do this. And really, again, it's primarily to address the security related issues like the vulnerabilities. And the benefit to the customers is really about having a more secure platform, more timely updates, so you don't have to wait for 3 months to do this. And we have customers that require more frequent and timely fix. So we're providing this capability to our customers. And then, so how do we do this? And we'll show you that in the step-by-step demo. But essentially, you download the file the same way, the server update file the same way, and then you use the standard process to update the server, and we'll show you the steps. And then there's also a no reboot option, so that and then with the rolling update that's built into the HA model, so you can do this without any downtime. So again, if sometimes some update may require downtime, but then a reboot, but that could be deferred. So again, it's we always do these things with high availability in mind. Okay, so these are the steps, and you'll see in the step-by-step demo. So you download the update file, then you update the repository in the bare metal. Of course, you just copy the file over. Then you update the DCS admin and DCS components, and then you run a pre-patch report, make sure the system's ready to run the update. Then you just update the server, and you'll see that in our step-by-step demo. So the last part is about deploy Oracle AI Database 26 AI DB system or database in the KVM on ODA. So this is a typical KVM lifecycle management. This is managed by the database appliance. So again, you always download all the files you need, right? In this case, you really need three files to create a DB system. You need the database system image or system template, which includes the operating system environment, and then that will create the VM for you. Then you also need to do these clone files, right? The GI clone files and the database clone files. So there are three files you need to download to create a DB system. Then again, you need to copy the files over in the bare metal, and then you have to do the update repository. So we know where all the binaries are to do the creation. Then you create a DB system. And then normally in this demo, we're just going to basically do the step 1 through 3. But then after you created the DB system, you can modify it, you can delete it. So this is the typical life cycle of a database VM. And this is similar to our application VM as well. But today we're just doing the database VM. Okay. So here's just some screenshots. You can see that the interface is very similar to your normal deployment for the bare metal, but you just have to go to our DB system tab and to create. This is done in bare metal to create a DB system, and then you provide the system information, and then also IP addresses for every VM. You will need to have the set of IP addresses, so that you can access it later. Okay. And then once it's created, and you'll see that in the demo, then you have a database DB system information. Then you can go into an individual database VM and look at all the details. In today's case, we're actually going to create the 26 AI database VM with the 26 AI database in it. Okay. So just one reminder: everything you can do in our graphic user interface or browser user interface, you could do it through the command line. So it's very straightforward. Again, everything we do today, we follow the documentation steps. So you could do it in the graphic user interface, or you could use through the command line. So both options are available. So at this time, I think I'm going to pass on to Shruti to do the step-by-step demo. Shruti?
Thanks,
I'm going to
Paul.
stop sharing.
So Paul just gave the overview of all the steps, and now we're going to get into the step-by-step demo. So we're going to start off with reimaging and redeploying, and then do talk about the monthly OS updating, and then finally see the steps for deploying the AI 26 AI database system. And then, as Paul had mentioned before, these are the overall steps that we're going to be going over. Before we get into the demo, we customers would download their ISO image, have their GI and database clone files ready. Um, and then, as Paul mentioned, we had done the NFS mount in our case. And then we get into running the cleanup scripts, and it would be both nodes because this is an HA system. And then reimaging on both nodes as well, and this is done through the ILOM. And then we configure FirstNet for both of the nodes, and then update the repository with GI and database clone files. And then finally, we deploy the HA system, and this is just on the first node. So we're going to get started with running the cleanup script, and we start on the first node. And then you can see here we're running this command, which is cleanup PL erase data dash for F, and then this is to force the erase data. And this is we start running that on the first node. And this command, go ahead and start the process of erasing on this node. And you can see after a few minutes, the cleanup was successful. And then once you get this message, you know you're good to go. So once you've done this, we do it on the first node. You have to go ahead and do the same thing because this is HA. So repeat the process and erase everything on the second node with the same command. And then once you've done this, we get into the re-imaging of the ODA HA system. So right over here, we're at the documentation. So before you begin the process, just head over and look at the documentation. It'll have the step-by-step of everything we're doing in this demo. So over here, you can see that there's the cleaning steps, and we have the note for HA. You have to clean sequentially. So you start by doing the first node and then do the second node. On the other hand, for the re-imaging process, which we're going to be doing next, it can be done in parallel. So we'll start re-imaging for both nodes at the same time. So you can, which is the process we'll be doing right now. So we start on the first node and we head over to the ILOM over here. And then you can use root and set a password. And then once you do that, you'll be able to log into the ILOM. And this is kind of how the ILOM screen looks like. And we start off the steps here. We'll go to host storage device. And in our case, we did an NFS mount, or else you copy over the files. Those are the two options. And then you go ahead and save that. And then once you've done that, you go over to host control, select CD-ROM, and then save that. And then head over to the power cycle. Once that's done, a power control, and then select power cycle and save this. And this kicks off the re-imaging process on this first node. So now re-imaging is kicked off, we can launch this remote console. If you don't already have Java, make sure you install it so that you will be able to use this remote Java console. Also, I have a Mac, so just as a flag for Mac users, you do have to go to privacy and security and allow this to be run. And then here is the remote console and the re-imaging process is starting. So this is re-imaging over to 1929. So you should see this screen and then it'll start here. So this means the re-imaging process is starting. It takes about an hour. So we're going to go ahead on the second node over here. We've in the ILOM for the second node, do the same exact process that we did on the first node as well. So once we kick this off, they'll both be running at the same time. So going through all of the same steps that we just did on the first node with host control, and then the same steps for power control as well, starting the power cycle. And now re-imaging is kicked off at the same time in parallel on both nodes. So we head over to the remote console here as well. And then it's going to start, you don't have to click enter or anything. It just will automatically start installing the 1929. So both nodes are getting reimaged. So that is an overview of the step-by-step of the reimaging process. And now we're heading over to provisioning. Um, so here's the documentation for provisioning over here. So this is what we recommend following through when you're starting the provisioning. And we'll be going on the ILOM and starting the process of configuring FirstNet on both the nodes. So we start off with this first node. We're in ILOM, we're in the remote console that we had launched previously. Now it's reimaged. And we start the process of configuring FirstNet. So we've entered in the command here, ODA CLI configure FirstNet. And then you can enter in the IP address, your net mask address, and then the gateway. And then once you've done this, the network has been set up successfully. And we're going to go ahead and SSH into this root. One thing to note is I use the keygen command because of Mac before I log in. And then once I've done that, I am now in the first node and describing the system to see that the appliance is not configured, which will be the next steps that we go to. And then we can see that we describe component. The system has been fully updated to 1929. And this is showing us that the re-imaging process was successful and complete. So once we've done this, we're doing the same exact process on the second node. So we do the same thing. We log into the remote console on the second node, and we go ahead and configure FirstNet in the same way that we did before, and enter in the IP address and the net mask, and then the gateway address populates. And then once we've done that, we can see the network has been successfully set up. And so we're going to do the same thing where we just SSH, and this is into the second node. And then, yeah, do the same keygen command because I'm in a Mac, and then log into this node. And then now we're into the node. And so you can do the same process and then just check if it's reimaged on the second node. So now once we've done that, we're going to head over to the BUI. So this would be the IP address or the name of the node, and then :7093 mgm/mgmt/index.html. So we go over there, and that brings us to the BUI. The very first time you get here is your chance to enable multi-user access. This is the only time that you would be able to enable multi-user access if you're going to do that. And then we're just going to set the password here and log in. So once you've done that, you can set the username or set the password as we've done, and then log in. And we're going to start creating the appliance in the next few steps. So we click the Create Appliance tab, and then we start by filling in the system information, including the system name, and then the region, DNS server, what group, data or Rico, and then the percentage. So you can play around with these settings, and then go ahead and enter your network information settings as well, and then head over to the user and group selection and choose that if you want to allow role separation. In this case, we put no for the database information because we'll be creating the 26AI database in the next steps. And then enter in the diagnostic information. So once you've entered all of these, all of this information, you can save this configuration at any time in the process. So you just get a JSON file with all of the details. So it's just easy to store and to upload. So once you've done this, you can go ahead and save this configuration and then submit the job. And that is creating the, you can see over here, provisioning service. And then once you've done that, we can just keep track of the progress here. You can see the progress is successful. So the status is successful, the subtasks are successful, so we know that we've been able to create this appliance successfully. And then over here, once it's created, you can see the details of the appliance over here, the basic information, advanced information, and then also you can go to the CLI, not just the buoy, and then see the information. I ran the ODA CLI describe system command here, and then you can see the appliance was created and the information on the appliance. And you can describe the component as well and see the details on that and the 1929 system. So the next steps that we're going to be doing, now we're done creating the appliance, is doing the monthly OS patching update. So Paul had talked about the steps of the updating. So just a quick overview. You have to download the monthly ODA server update file. There's really three big things to do before you start updating the repository. So you have to have the GI file, the DB files, and the ODA VM files, and then update the repository in bare metal. Then update the DCS admin and components running the pre-patching report and the server components. So those are the steps that we're going to be seeing. Here's the documentation again. It's in the what's new in this release section. So before starting this process, we'll be following step by step what this documentation is going through. And then here are the patches. This is where the patches are available. So you can head over here to download that. So once you've done that, we start by running this command, which is the update repository command with the server zip. So I went ahead and ran that and then described the job of this ID to C, and it was all successful. It was able to successfully update the repository with the server. So once we've done that, the next step is to update the DCS admin. So we run the step to update the DCS admin and then now checking that job to see if it was running successfully. So you can use the describe job and then put the job ID here in order to see that. And then we can see that it was able to, the status is successful, and we are able to see that it ran successful. So once we've done that, we can see we ran the update DCS components step here, and then the update DCS components is successful on all of the nodes. So we're good to go here, and we create the pre-patch report. It should take about 14 minutes, and we can just see that everything is running successful. So once we've done all of that, now it's time to run the update server components. So we've run the update server components here, and you can see it was created. You can see the job ID to get the status. It takes a few minutes to run, and then it's successful. So then we've finished running that. So that is the overall process for this. And then we're going to head over to the creation of the AI database 26 AI DB system. So this process involves downloading the DB system images, updating the repository, then creating a DB system, modifying it, and then being able to delete. So this is the life cycle process. So we'll today be showing how we create the 26 AI DB system. So we start off in the process here is going over to this documentation. So we recommend going here. It has all of the steps of how to create it, which we will be going over. So we start off with the prerequisites before we create this, and creating the GI or updating the repository with the GI file. So we start with this GI zip. And then we've created that and we can describe the job. And then once we have done that, the next step is to update the repository with the DCS DB file with the DB 2326 zip. So that would be the next thing we will update the repository with, and then you can describe the job for that. And then, and then the job is successful. So then just check the update. And then the next one is the updating the repository with the ODA VM 1929. So that would be the third file. So once you've completed these three steps, then you you will be able to run this describe DB system image. And then once we run that, we can see that right now, all of these, because we've gone through and updated the DB26, we've updated the ODA VM and the GI files, they're all available now. So we can start with creating the process now that we've updated and all of these are available. So now we head over to the UI to start the process of creating the DB system. So we can head over to the DB Systems tab and click Create DB Systems. And then the first form is the system information. So you can go ahead and fill in the system information, including the name, the DB system shape, the regions, DNS servers, memory size, and all of these details. And then also fill in the network information as well, like the host name, the scan and VIP network, and then the user and group selection, and then for allowing role separation and then entering in the database information. And right here is where we are putting that the DB version would be 2326 AI. And this is for the 26 AI DB. So that's where we're selecting this over here. And then once we've done that, we fill in the rest of the information. And then you can go ahead and save the configuration. So you have the file and then submit the job so that I will create the DB system. So the job is created right now in progress, and you go over to the activities page. In order to see the job, you can just click the link or head over to the activities tab, and then you can see that the job is running. You can see the jobs are sub-jobs are successful, and then after a few minutes, we can see that the status is successful and the DB system has been created. So we can see this on the BUI, and you can click the DB systems and click on the now created 26 AI DB system, see the system information, the ID, so you can see the version, which is 26 AI. You can see more information on all of this, the virtual disks and the VM and all of the information on this. And then you can see what's used, what GB is free, and then go over to the database information. You can see the name and all of the details that were selected, as well as the network information. And then now we're going over to the CLI. So this is all on the BUI. So you can also see we've SSH'd into the DB VM that was created. So now have this DB VM that exists. So we can go into the IP for this specific DB VM and then SSH in. And then once we're in the DB VM, we can describe job. So we can see this in this VM, within this 26 AI DB system that we have created. So you can also describe component and see the further details of all of this as well. And you can see all of the installed versions over here. Okay, so that was the overall demo, and then I'm gonna hand it back over to Paul to show the timings for this process.
Okay, thanks, Shruti. So let me finishing. Let me share the. So Shruti went through the step by step, and we follow pretty much step by step from the documentation. So it's really easy, but it's always nice to see the individual command. And so this is the result. I just want to share that with you. So as you can see, we clock, based on, you can go to the activity tab and look at when the job is submitted and when it's completed. And so the first part, the reimaging and redeploy an HA system, if everything goes smoothly, it's approximately 2 hours. And this is to completely, wipe everything out, redeploy the system, redeploy an HA system. And the most of the time it took was the 60 minutes that it took to do the reimaging. And then deployment took about half an hour. And then on the second part, the monthly update is actually pretty quick. Because again, it's a small file, it's just do a monthly security updates. And that took about, total of less than 20 minutes, right? And then to deploy the DB system itself, the 26i DB system, again, update the repository part, it's very quick because it's just basically copying. So to create the DB system took about 35 minutes. So approximately 40 minutes. So this gives you an idea of the amount of time it takes. So as you can see, this is again because all the automation the databases platform does, so it makes everything very fast, right? And so, but again, this gives you a good guidelines on how much time it takes. Of course, staging all the files, downloading all the files are excluded from this calculation. So you always want to have your customer download the files, copy the files to the ODA, prior to this. So the actual part of doing these things are fairly straightforward, right? Because we do the pre-checks to making sure everything is ready, and um, so the actual time that to reimaging, to do the updating, and to creating the DB system, it's actually very reasonable. If they have to do this all manually, it would take days, if not weeks, right, for some of these tasks. So at this time, I think I just want to point out some additional resources. We have our documentation. Again, the step-by-step demo, we follow the documentation, and show you where to go to follow the steps. Of course, you can use this video as a sort of a sort of the guideline, but everything's in the documentation. And then we have blogs, we have our YouTube playlist, and we have our FAQs, and then we have this new updated training course through Oracle University, and we have our technical paper, we have our LinkedIn group. And I think that's it. So we can do the live Q&A now.